गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। नमामि गौडपादं च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे। So in Abhyasa Bhashya, the Abhyasa is mutual exchange of their identities as well as their properties. Regarding that, we were discussing Viveka Abhavaha, Itaretara Avivekena. Now he says, due to mutually, Itaretara means non-discrimination, absence of discrimination between them. Itaretara Avivekena, which are Atyanta Vivikta. Atyanta Vivikta means they are totally separate in their nature, yet they are totally opposite to each other. They are totally different from each other. Why do we say totally opposite? The total opposition, the purpose of talking total opposition between them, like light and darkness, is the adhyasa is not facilitated by them. See, the superimposition is not facilitated by their nature. Their nature is totally opposite. Therefore, the adhyasa cannot happen according to their nature. See the difference. Each word has got some connotation. The very nature of the Atma is such that it cannot transfer its quality or its nature of consciousness to Anatma, and the nature of Anatma is such that its quality it cannot transfer to Atma. So this misunderstanding has something to do with our mind rather than the fact. The idea is the very nature of Atma, Anatma is such that they don't lend themselves to be mistaken, nor there is some weakness, nor there is some tendency in them, nor there is some tendency between in the Atma Anatma that they tend to be mistaken, or they tend to transfer their identities, exchange their properties or exchange their identity. In order to accept, generally we see certain things, we tend to mistake. When we mistake, generally people say, oh, this is natural. Whenever there is just a little darkness, a dim light, we tend to mistake one thing for other. When somebody is shocked, hey, what is this here? I start seeing something or another here. If somebody complains, we smile and say that, oh, this is natural. Because in such a condition, that's how it happens. So the very nature of the thing is such that it allows itself to be misunderstood as something else, because it has got a lot of similarity. In worldly experience I am talking. When person is so similar to another person, when you see him here, and you tend to mistake that he is the other person, famous person. Now, because the very nature of the objects lend themselves to be misunderstood. But here, the Purvapakshi is telling, Bhashyakara is admitting. Purvapakshi told that they are totally paraspara viruddhayoh tamaprakashavat viruddha svabhavayoh. Purvapakshi told they are totally opposite to each other. Let me see. Correct. Tamapraka, Purvapakshi is telling they are so much opposite to each other that it is Sutaram, it is totally impossible. It is totally impossible to exchange their identities or to transfer their qualities, properties to each other. Now Siddhanti says true. Yet, so if their nature of Atma and Anatma doesn't lend, the very nature of Atma, Anatma doesn't lend to be misunderstood, then what could be the cause of misunderstanding? What could be means where does the misunderstanding lie? Misunderstanding means superimposition, mixing up. Does this mutual exchanging happens in the event, happens in the Atma, Anatma, or it happens in our mind? See, in the rope and snake, does that exchanging the identity of rope and snake and their properties too, does it happen in the rope and snake, in the facts, or it happens in our mind and there they remain separate? In the nature of rope and snake, they remain separate. Snake remains a snake and rope remains a rope. In the very objects, there is no exchanging. Exchanging is in our mind, not there. See, sometimes that exchanging may happen in the actual facts. So when it happens there and you happen to see what is wrong in it, it's natural. Because what happens there, you happen to see. It is just simple. But here, it is not happening in the objects. It is only happening in our mind. There the things remain totally separate. That's why Purvapakshi says they are totally opposite to each other. They can never be exchanged. How can it be possible? Siddhanti says we are not talking of the exchanging of their identities and their mutual transferring their properties as if really happened there. They are in your mind. They are in the onlooker, not in the actual fact. This exchanging is not in the fact, exchanging is in your mind. See, Siddhanti says this one point. Not in the objects this is happening. About them, a thinking happens in me. See the difference? The adhyasa, the mutually exchanging and transferring their property is not in the Atma, Anatma happening it. That is happening in our mind and there they remain same. The actual facts remain what they are. It is in the onlooker, it is in the perceiver. That means it is a perceptual mistake, not the actual mistake. This is important. Okay. It is a perceptual mistake, not the actual mistake. That's why Shankaracharya says it is an adhyasa. Adhyasa is a mithya pratyaya, that he is going to say. So, this exchanging, now one more point. This exchanging or exchanging their identities and transferring their mutual properties is impossible unless it is a misunderstanding. See there also. The actual exchanging, actual transferring their properties, actually taking place is impossible. Unless it is only a misunderstanding in our mind, actually it is impossible. See, this is what we have to see the clarity. So, unless it is adhyasa, it's not possible. In adhyasa, it is possible. Adhyasa itself means you are thinking wrongly. You thought it. It doesn't exist there. The things won't become like that. You thought it, then it is your mind only. Your mind thinks, there it doesn't happen. There it remains the same as it is. Therefore, unless it be adhyasa, actually exchanging or transferring is impossible. Purvapakshi, what Purvapakshi says by his observation that it is impossible to exchange because their natures are opposite, we are accepting it because what Purvapakshi talks is a fact. We are not denying the fact. So, this is what a real philosophy, real thinker is. When a person among the different schools of philosophy, different Siddhanta Vadis when they discuss, when a person says something or when you say something which is an actual fact of life, the fact of life when you are presenting, when you are talking of, I also should accept it because how can I deny it? I can't just deny and then say something else. So the universal facts which are universally perceived, or universal anubhavas, let us say, universal facts which are present in everybody's experience, have to be accepted because it is your experience and my experience. Everybody sees the same. Sushupti, you also see, I also see, it is everybody's experience. What is universal common experience should be same. If it is a universal experience, it should be same. You also see the same thing, I also see the same thing. If I see differently, that means I am looking at, the difference is in my standpoint, not in the fact. See, the difference is not in the fact, the difference is in your way of looking. Then only we call universal fact. What is universal fact? The fact is same way in your anubhava, same way in my anubhava. Because it is a fact. What is fact for you, the same is fact for you. If you say the fact, what is fact for you is not a fact for me. Can you say like that? What is a fact for you? That fact means existing. What is reality for you is not a reality for me. What is existing for you is not existing for me. How can you say? Existence means it is universal. Okay. The very existence means it exists on its own, independent of who looks at it. Okay. Independence of who looks at, who means standpoint. You look at, I look at means you, your standpoint, you and I means what? Different standpoints. It is not the persons, it is standpoints. Okay. Persons means standpoints. In spite of who looks at it, from what angle he looks at it, the thing is what it is. This is called reality. This is called existence. If existence is a reality, or existence is an existence, it exists because it exists. That's all. An existence is an existence because it exists. Simply. An existence is an existence because it exists, not because you see it as existence. Not because somebody sees from some angle. It is because it happens to be is. That's all. It happens to exist. So this is an exist. So this is what we call universal facts. But if it appears in some manner, so let us compare our visions and our understandings, our perceptions. You have some perception, I have some perception. Let us compare. Okay, let us compare. All philosophy is only comparing our visions and understandings. Now, your perception or my perception, your understanding, my understanding, let us compare with each other and let us check, verify each other's. How can you, verifying, checking doesn't mean that I check your understanding, taking my understanding as a standard. That's not the way, okay? If I find your understanding, your perception is different from me, I say yours is wrong because you are looking differently. See, we are not judging somebody's perception from another man's perception. If that is the case, if I say your perception is wrong because it is differing from me, you also say that my perception is wrong because mine is differing from you. If this is the way, then there is not an understanding. This is only each one has his own prejudice. I assume something and I judge everything from that assumption. What you take as a standard measuring rod, the measuring scale you take, the measuring scale should not be your personal assumption. Okay, not just because your book says or your prophet says. But if your book says, what is the proof to say that your book itself is correct? Because my prophet said it. How do you say that your prophet is correct? Because God revealed it. How do you know that God revealed, not he himself is imagining? Because God said it. Now, these are all assumptions. One assumption is defending another assumption. If the same thing if somebody says, I say what I say is correct. How do you say? Because my book says it. What is the proof for your book say? Because my prophet said it. Because I have got my own prophet. Okay. What is the proof that your prophet is correct? Because God revealed it. How do you know God revealed it or your own mind is telling? Same thing, whatever you say, I too can say. You also can say. Then each one has his own book, each one has his own prophet, each one has his own God's revelations. Then this again doesn't decide what is a fact, what is universal. Fact should be universal. Universal means it should be indisputable. What is universal? What is universal? What is indisputable is universal. What you see, the same thing I see. What I see means exist. What exists in your anubhava, okay, I change the word because the see means you start thinking perception. So I change the word. What exists in your anubhava, the same thing exists in my anubhava. The same thing exists in others' anubhava. The same thing exists in everybody's anubhava. Because we say a universal fact is a universal existence. A universal existence is universal anubhava. Okay. This is the standard. Now it is indisputable. What is my experience, what is in my anubhava, the same thing is exactly in your anubhava. Same thing is exactly in everybody's anubhava. Therefore, that is a standard we take, and with the help of that universal experience, we judge everything. Your perception, my perception, your understanding, my understanding, others' understanding. We keep on comparing our understandings and perceptions with the standard of what? What is the standard? That universal experience is a standard. Because that is neither yours nor me. That's how the fact is. That's how the fact is. It is yours and mine and everybody's. Nobody can dispute it. Nobody can deny it. People may perceive it differently. The perception, the way of understanding differs. The way of being doesn't differ. See, the way of existing, the way of understanding. The way of understanding may differ because I have my way of looking. You have your way of looking. So each one has his own standpoint of looking. So according to your standpoint, you perceive it in a particular way. You understand it in a particular way. And my understanding, I call it my darshana. Darshana means my way of looking, my understanding. But that my understanding, I should be able to prove. Now, I should not ask you to come to my standpoint and look at it. Either, see, if I ask you to accept what my understanding is, on my authority, my personal authority, because I have seen God accept me on my strength, on my authority. I am a jnani, I am a prophet. I am a jnani, I am a prophet, I am a founder of religion. You accept my anubhava. That's all. You cannot experience it. I have my own experience because I had a darshan of Jesus and he came and merged into me. So you accept it on my authority, and you have not seen Jesus coming and merging into you. Pravadi Muhammad appears and merges into you. I have seen it. You have to accept it. One side you say anubhava, but you call it again an individual anubhava, personal anubhava. Then it is as good as another prophet alone. If you say it is a universal experience, then it is okay. But if you call it a personal experience, then this is as good as like a prophet claiming. It is a claim without any verification. Okay, you claim, I am supposed to accept your claim on your authority. Because you said it and I am supposed to accept it. I am just analyzing this because this vichara requires this. What is a vastu tantram and what is a buddhi tantram? Vyakti tantram. We have to say that kartu tantram. There is some difference. Individual standpoint and universal fact. Okay, this difference has to be understood. Therefore, I am just little analyzing it. Okay, because adhyasa means misunderstanding and understanding the right. Adhyasa adhisthana. Adhisthana means universal fact, indisputable fact. In modern language, if you say adhisthana means, aspada means a universal, indisputable fact, and adhyasa means it is a misunderstanding. Okay. Now, if I have a perception, if understanding of it, and I say that this is my experience, and now I have experienced the fact correctly, I have experienced Paramatma correctly, this is my experience. I am not talking from the book. I am illiterate. I have not studied Shastra. It is a great prestige in these days. If you say that I have not studied Shastra, that means I am talking from my experience. I am talking from my experience. To prove that I am talking from experience, you have to additional that I am not Sanskrit scholar. I don't know. My guru, my founder of my religion, is not a Sanskrit scholar. He has not studied from Shastra. He doesn't have a guru. People say, reject Shastra, reject Sanskrita, reject his knowledge of Sanskrita. My founder of a guru, he has not studied, he doesn't know Sanskrit. He has not studied Shastra. He doesn't have a guru also. Directly God has revealed to me. This is a indirectly round and round another Pravadi method alone. Another prophetism alone. This is the kind of thing. Isn't it? Okay. Your own personal experience. Now you are not influenced by Shastra. You are not influenced by Guru. It is your direct experience. Okay. It must be direct experience. We don't know. But for us it is only a claim. Isn't it? It is not in our experience. It should be a universal experience. Okay. You say, I am an Ishvara Koti, I alone come from Nirguna and Saguna, you can't come. This is again your personal, like another Prabhadi method. I alone can toggle between Nirguna and Saguna because I am an Ishvara Koti, you are not. Okay. This becomes again your personal, again another Prabhadi style has come. But what is a universal fact is a universal. The understanding of the universal fact may differ. Okay. Understanding of a universal fact may differ from person to person. You have a certain understanding. I have a certain understanding. Let us compare. Let us compare and contrast and see. Why do we have to compare? We compare not because I take my understanding as a standard and your understanding will be judged from my understanding. Okay? I am not taking my understanding as a standard and judge yours. If I do that, you will also take your understanding and judge mine. Now, we are comparing not for judging each other from our standpoints. Okay? Not to judge me from your and not to judge you from my standpoint. We are comparing our understandings with reference to the original fact which is universal. Universal anubhava in you and me and all. So it is only our comparing each other only means we are doing a collective vichara. It is only a collective vichara. Comparing our each other's experience only means we are exchanging, we are discussing with each other means we are doing Atma Vichara together. Because universal fact is universal. By universal fact, I am observing the same truth. You are observing. I am observing. You are observing. We are helping each other in observation. We are helping each other in discovering the universal truth. So we are helping in vichara. We are not judging each other from our standpoints. See the note it. You are not judging each other. We are not judging each other from our standpoints. Nor I am claiming my anubhava is universal standard. You have to believe me. You have to become a follower. I am a founder of religion. I have become a guru and you follow me. And take my anubhava as a standard. You are all my followers. And you become my follower and go all over the world and propagate on my behalf. I will make you my disciple. You will go and propagate that Satprakash Anandendra is Avatara Purusha and you propagate on my behalf. Okay. He is Avatara Varishta and you go and propagate it. So, I am not telling that. Okay. Special Avatara. So, we are discussing because, then why discussing? Why comparing our understandings? Comparing our standpoint? Because we are only inquiring into the real nature. Inquiring into the Atma means verifying our understandings against the background of universal fact. See, we are verifying our understanding. I am verifying your understanding, my understanding against the background of universal fact. What is that background? Against the background of universal anubhava, your, mine and everybody's. Against the universal anubhava as a background, we are verifying our understandings. In this what happened? We are helping each other in vichara. We are helping each other in vichara. I should not be closed mind to ignore your anubhava. You also, Anubhava means understanding I am talking. I shouldn't ignore your understanding, because probably your understanding might help me to verify whether my understanding is true to that universal background. Background means Anubhava, universal experience in all of us, indisputable universal background. Is my understanding true to that? Sometimes I think that my understanding is true to Anubhava. So you will help me. So your understanding, I understanding, we compare, but standard is that universal standard. Universal standard is, universal Anubhava is a standard. Indisputable universal Anubhava of all of us. The Sushupti Anubhava is a universal standard, isn't it? So my understanding of Sushupti, I have got certain understanding. You have got certain understanding. Is my understanding is true to that universal fact, universal Brahma, or my understanding is slightly tilted, distorted or prejudiced? This is what we have to verify. Okay. So, if somebody says you have to accept it, how can we accept it? So, that regarding that Atma, the mutual exchanging, Atma, Anatma, their identity is exchanged, their properties are exchanged. So, this is what we find in our Anubhava, isn't it? The existence, the qualities, all these things we are discussing now. Now we will proceed with the next to the point. Now here, Adhyasa Purvapakshi says that they are totally opposite in their nature. Opposite in this nature means how much opposite? How much opposite, and to what extent they are opposite? He says totally opposite in any sense. See, Purvapakshi is wiser than some of the post-Shankarites, because they are totally opposite in any sense. Means impossible to come together. Impossible to. They say, the Purvapakshis, I mean the Vyakhyanakaras say something that we will say Swamiji himself is going to discuss it. So, the total opposition only implies that the real Adhyasa is impossible. The actually exchanging is impossible. If there is an exchange, then Siddhanti says, yes, we accept it. Total opposition which you told, we also accept. Because that is universal experience, we can't deny. We can't reject, we can't close our eyes, which is a universal, indisputable experience, which you are talking, I also accept it. Yet, when I say there is Adhyasa, the Adhyasa is not in the fact. Okay. Adhyasa is in the onlooker. Adhyasa is in the mind. Therefore, Adhyasa is a Mithya Pratyaya. These arguments which I told today will be helpful in future discussions. So therefore, because there are Vyakhyanakaras, this is where they missed the point. So, the mixing them, the things themselves don't lend. There is no tendency. There is no natural inclination in them, because there is no similarity. Yet I misunderstand, because purely my mind alone is responsible for the misunderstanding, not the fact. The factors, the conducive factors are not there in the very nature of the fact. So therefore, if I find a misunderstanding, it is purely in the mind. It is purely in the mind of a person. So, this Adhyasa being a universal, we are telling it is universally in everybody's mind there is a misunderstanding. In everybody's mind there is a misunderstanding. Okay, now we will proceed it. So therefore, Adhyasa is not actually in the thing, it is only in the perceiver. It is only in the mind alone Adhyasa. Therefore, Mithya Pratyayaha, not Mithya Padarthaha. There is no Arthadhyasa. Mithya Padartha means actually the things themselves exchanged. There is no Mithya Padartha, there is only Mithya Pratyaya. Okay, we'll proceed. Now he says, since this Mithya Pratyaya or a misunderstanding is purely in my mind, not in the reality. Reality remains the same in spite of my misunderstanding. I may misunderstand in any way. I may think whatever I like or whatever way I may think, but the fact remains just what it is. It doesn't affect the fact. Adhyasa doesn't influence the fact. If I mistake rope for snake, the snake is for my understanding. Rope is innocent of the snake. Rope, the poor rope doesn't know that I am thinking of it as a snake. Rope remains innocent of my misunderstanding. Rope remains just rope. Similarly, Brahma remains Advaita Brahma. Jiva Brahma remains one. They are innocent. They don't know the misunderstanding which we have. So, the misunderstanding which we have doesn't exist for the Brahma Swarupam, for the Moksha Swarupam. In the Moksha Swarupa, there is no Adhyasa. In the Brahma Swarupa, there is no Adhyasa. Brahma Swarupa, there is already oneness without any samsara, without any Adhyasa. So, Adhyasa is in the onlooker, not in the reality. Okay. Therefore, this Adhyasa is due to, now why it happens? He says, Avivekena, due to Aviveka. Due to Aviveka is not a cause of it, which Swamiji himself is going to say. I just told in yesterday's class. Today also I just touch little. And when Swamiji discusses, we'll see that. Viveka Abhava means, Viveka Abhava is not a causing factor. Because for the Viveka, there should be two things. The two things don't exist before Adhyasa. Before Adhyasa, Anatma doesn't exist. There is only Atma. Therefore, the Viveka Abhava, the lack of discrimination, is only a condition in which Adhyasa is found. There is no time-bound sequence that Viveka Abhava is first and later Adhyasa. Because some post-Shankarites try to present Adhyasa is a product. Adhyasa is a product. It is produced due to some factor which existed beforehand. They try to present a time sequence in which Adhyasa is an event in time. Adhyasa is an event in time. Before Adhyasa there was a time and there was a factor. There was an element. And that element is creating Adhyasa. This kind of thing they imagine. This is a purely hypothesis. This is a pure speculation. You don't find it in Anubhava. Swamiji simply says, in Adhyasa, you find there is a lack of discrimination. As long as there is an Adhyasa, so long there is a lack of discrimination. Because then why do you say that Viveka Abhava, the lack of discrimination, is a nimitta for Adhyasa? We only said because keeping the future in view. See, three things they say. The Viveka Abhava, the lack of discrimination. When was the lack of discrimination? Before Adhyasa, during Adhyasa, or future, after Adhyasa? After Adhyasa is meaningless. So before Adhyasa also doesn't do, because within Adhyasa alone everything is found, Atma, Anatma. Anatma is found only in Adhyasa, because before Adhyasa there was no Anatma. When there is no Anatma, there is no mixing up, there is no lack of discrimination, doesn't exist. Because Anatma itself didn't exist. Anatma itself is found only in Adhyasa. Okay. The snake is found only in Adhyasa. Do you find a snake before you mistook it? Before you misunderstood, there was no snake. Snake is found only in misunderstanding. I mean the false snake. False snake is found only in misunderstanding. Therefore, there is no question of the lack of discrimination existing before the misunderstanding. Okay. Now we can say the misunderstanding, the lack of discrimination can prolong the misunderstanding. This much we can say. When you don't discriminate, the misunderstanding you have, you will continue to be in the misunderstanding alone. Unless you question it, the misunderstanding won't go away. Until you question the misunderstanding, it won't go away. you will continue in the misunderstanding. Therefore we say the lack of discrimination, the lack of viveka, lack of vichara is with the adhyasa. In the lack of vichara you find adhyasa. When there is adhyasa, there is a lack of vichara. Then why do you present viveka abhava as a nimittam? We present, in fact, viveka abhava is simultaneously with adhyasa alone. In adhyasa there is a viveka abhava. When there is a misunderstanding, there is a lack of vichara. Viveka means vichara. Lack of vichara, do you say that lack of vichara was there first and later adhyasa came? How can you say lack of vichara was there before and later adhyasa came? So, when there is adhyasa, there is a lack of vichara naturally. Why do you say it is a nimittam? Keeping the future in view, we said it. We means the Shastra. The Shastra said viveka abhava is the nimittam for adhyasa, because if there were viveka, that means vichara. If you had done vichara, adhyasa would have been corrected. If you had done the vichara, see, note this point. If there was viveka, or if you have done the vichara, and if you had the viveka, adhyasa would have disappeared, would not have remained there. That's why we say, as long as there is lack of vichara, lack of viveka, adhyasa remains. So, until you take up viveka, adhyasa will not go away. When you take up viveka and do the viveka, adhyasa will not be found. So, aviveka, viveka abhava is presented as nimitta for adhyasa. Aviveka nimittam adhyasa. Gita Bhashya also says, this adhyasa Bhashya also says. So, viveka abhava is a nimittam. It's a gambhira vishaya, therefore I am repeating it. Viveka abhava, when we say viveka abhava, lack of discrimination is a nimittam, we mean in the viveka abhava there is adhyasa. In the condition of lack of discrimination, adhyasa continues. Now it implies one more thing. If you do viveka, adhyasa cannot remain. If you do vichara, the misunderstanding will not remain. Isn't it? That is idea. So it only means that it is a adhyasa is an adhyasa. The misunderstanding is a misunderstanding so long you don't do vichara. So long you don't do vichara, you don't do viveka, adhyasa remains. When you do vichara or viveka, adhyasa gets corrected. Adhyasa goes away, gets destroyed. Okay, that's why he told. Then the vyavahara. Now, viveka abhava is a nimitta, adhyasa is found with that, and then what is vyavahara? Vyavahara is due to adhyasa. Now, adhyasa, vyavahara, you don't find two in your anubhava separately. When there is adhyasa, vyavahara is there, that's all. So, though for sake of our communication, we divide them into 3 steps, okay? These 3 steps are in your anubhava one, viveka abhava, adhyasa and vyavahara. These are presented as a 3 for communication, for understanding. But in anubhava, there are 3. Anubhava is 1. In anubhava, we say viveka abhava, then adhyasa, then due to adhyasa, vyavahara. So, adhyasa, vyavahara, there is no gap. Okay. When there is misunderstanding, you find vyavahara. So, adhyasa and vyavahara, there is no time gap. And there are not 2 experiences. In adhyasa itself is vyavahara. So therefore, for prakriya means for teaching purpose, we put them as a 3, but anubhava is 1. The anubhava is one whole which constitutes these 3. So, okay, this is the meaning of that vakya, bhashya vakya. So, after explaining this bhashya vakya, Swamiji has some comment to make. Certain very good comment Swamiji makes in 3 or 4 sentences. Let us discuss this. Let us understand this comment also. It's very beautiful comment. After doing manana of Swamiji's statement, he has understood this point. So he is sharing his understanding, is giving little more explanation. Now, yadyapi chaitanyadayo nama natmana sakashat pruthak vidyante dharmaha. I think yesterday we were discussing this point a lot. So, Atma, Anatma, Adhyasa, we told you two things. Exchanging of Atma, Anatma, mutual exchange, and mutual transferring of these properties. Dharmi Adhyasa, Dharma Adhyasa. Atma Anatmanoh, Dharminoh Adhyasa, and Dharmayoh Adhyasa. Dharminoh Adhyasa, okay. Dharmayor Adhyasa, that means mutually transferring their properties. Now regarding these properties, we have to say one word which Swamiji is telling. Anatma Dharmaha, Atma Dharmaha, we told. Atma Dharmas, what are the Atma Dharma? Chaitanyam, Kutastatvam, that is changelessness, Vishayitvam, subject, Satyatvam, independent real existence, Sukha Dukkha Sansparsha Vidhuratvam, being free from Sukha Dukkha, Niramshatvam is uniform, of uniform nature. This is Atma Dharma, and Anatma Dharma is exactly opposite. Okay, this we have already discussed. Detail we have discussed. So this Atma Anatma Dharmas, when we say, now we have to understand, are there dharmas for Atma? This is the point. Now, is Chaitanyam property of Atma? We were discussing yesterday, Chaitanyam is not a property of Atma, Chaitanyam is the very Atma. Chaitanyam and Atma are synonyms, paryayas. Chaitanyam is Atma, Atma is Chaitanyam. We can't say Atma is one and it is possessing Chaitanya. See, when we say a flower has got a quality, flower is red. Flower is a substance, red is its color. Red flower, when we say red is its color. So color is dependent on color is dependent upon substance. Flower is the substance, color depends upon it. Because color doesn't exist independent of a substance. What is color? You have to say a colorful object. A colored book or colored cloth or colored flower, colored fruit, colored something. Color itself doesn't exist without a substance, without a dravya. Guna cannot exist without dravya. Isn't it? So dravya alone possesses color. Here, flower has got a color. Now you can, at least in your thinking, you can see flower and color. Flower and color. You can think of two. Because flower can exist without red flower, it can be in another color also. A flower can be a flower can be blue flower, it can be yellow flower, it can be green flower. I don't know, I have not seen a green flower, but it can be orange flower, okay, let us say. So the flower can have many colors. So the red can be one of the flower. That means color is changeable. Okay. Then second thing is, can we say flower is color and color is flower? You can't say. Because flower can be in many colors. Color also can be on many objects. That means guna can exist in many dravyas. And dravya can have many qualities. Dravya can lose that quality and can assume another quality. So dravya can have changing qualities. It can have many qualities. Qualities also can exist in many dravyas. Okay. But here, Atma and its quality cannot be called as guna-guni. Guna-guni bhava is not there. Atma is guni. Guni means dravya and guna. Because Chaitanyam is not a guna of Atma. Because Atma cannot change Chaitanya quality. And Chaitanya cannot exist in something else. Therefore, Chaitanyam is not the quality of Atma. Chaitanyam is the very nature of Atma. Chaitanyam is the very swarupa of Atma. That means Chaitanyam and Atma, Atma, Chaitanyam. Therefore, we have to say Atma is Chaitanyam, Chaitanyam is Atma. That means they are not two. They are neither two, they are not guna-guni sambandha also. They are just one, spoken by two different words. The same one thing spoken by two different words. Only Shabda Bheda, not Vastu Bheda. Okay. There is only Shabda Bhedaha matramasti natu Vastu Bhedaha. Ekandre, because Chaitanyam and Atma are two words talking of one Vastu. Therefore, here when we say Atmanaha Gunaha, they are not gunas. Just for sake of communication, because communication we are talking, because the adhyasa has to be understood, therefore we talk of the qualities, but in fact they are the nature. So Chaitanyam is the nature of Atma, Kutastham is Atma. When we say Kutastham Atma, Kutastham is not the quality, Kutastham means Nirvikara. Kutastham means Nirvikaratvam, changelessness. So the changelessness or Kutastatvam is Atma. Atma alone is Kutastham. There is no another object in the world which is Kutastha. See, Chaitanyam is Atma, we say, because there is no another object which is Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam is Atma alone. Because Chaitanyam can exist only in Atma and nowhere else. And Atma alone can be Chaitanyam and nobody has got Chaitanyam. Nothing else has Chaitanyam except Atma. And Chaitanyam exists only in Atma and nowhere else. In nothing there is Chaitanyam. Chaitanyam is only with Atma. That means Chaitanyam and Atma are not two. They are just one. Similarly, Kutastham and Atma. You can't say Atma is Kutastham and something else also is Kutastham. There are no two things for Kutastham. Kutastham quality doesn't exist in two things. It exists only in Atma. If Kutastham exists in two things, then you have to say it is a quality. Supposing red color. Do you say red color exists only in flower? It won't exist anywhere else. Can you say that? See, Rakta Varnaha Pushpe Eva Bhavati Anyatra Na Bhavati. Can you say that? Rakta, redness can exist only in flower. It doesn't exist anywhere, you can't say. And also you can't say flower will be only red and it won't be another color. Flower also can be in many colors. Color also can be in many objects. Therefore, we have to say Guna Guni, Dravya and Guna. Okay. I say this because that Guna Guni Bhava doesn't exist in Vastu. The difference between Swarupam and Guna people have to understand. This I don't know, somehow people miss it. Because the Swarupa and Guna, this is difference. So Swarupa means Gunas, the Chaitanyam or Kutastha. Kutastha is Atma. Kutastatvam doesn't exist anywhere except in Atma. And Atma alone is Kutastham. Kutastham is only Atma. Kutastham is nothing, no second object. And Atma also, and Kutastham doesn't shift from Atma to another one. Atma doesn't have any other quality other than Kutastham. You don't find Atma being sometimes Kutastham, sometimes changing also. There is no changing Atma and also changeless Atma. Atma is always changeless. Oh, that means Kutastham is Atma, Atma is Kutastham. Each quality, this is what I am telling Mananam. We have to do Mananam like this. So in Mananam alone everything becomes very clear, crystal clear. Therefore, Kutastham is Atma, Atma is Kutastham. That means we are using two words for one. Therefore, if you look for Kutastham, it is only Atma and nothing else. Similarly, other qualities. Now, I think I leave it to you. I told Chaitanyam. People say, after listening to talk, what do we do? Mananam. Mananam means, yenu madabeku. What should we do? I said, this is what you do. Now, out of these qualities, Chaitanyam, Kutastham, Vishayatvam, Satyatvam, all these qualities I have explained. You do Manana remaining. Do you find these qualities elsewhere other than in the Atma? You don't find elsewhere except in Atma. And Atma also do not have, Atma also doesn't exist without these qualities. These qualities also don't exist elsewhere. Okay. This you have to do Manana and see in your Anubhava that they are one. They are not two. Therefore, here Swamiji says, Yajjapi Chaitanyadayo Nama Natmanas Sakashat Prathak Vidyante Dharma. So, Chaitanyadayo Nama Atmanaha Prathak Vidyante Dharma Rupena. Yajjapi Dharmaha iti Vadamaha. Yajjapi Dharmaha iti Uchyante. Dharma embudu quality, property endu, though we call them property or quality, they are not in a real sense quality and property. They are nature of Atma, they are not the quality of Atma. Because Atmanaha Nitya Nirvishesha Chaitanya Swarupatvat. Atma is a Nitya Nirvishesha Chaitanya. Chaitanyam is not a tentative quality. Chaitanyam is not one aspect of Atma. Chaitanyam is not a tentative state of Atma. See, Chaitanyam is not a state of Atma. Chaitanyam is not one part of Atma. Okay. Color, you take, if you contrast with a worldly object, it becomes clear to you. Color is a tentative state of the flower. Okay. Color, because the flower can give up the color and then disappear. Or the flower can have another color also. So, color will be one part of the flower. Okay. Because the flower is not color. Flower has got a shape also. Flower has got sparsha also. Isn't it? Flower has got sparsha. Flower has got color. So, flower is not all color. Color is one aspect of it. And it has got sparsha also. Okay. So, it has got two aspects. But here, Atma, Chaitanyam is not one aspect of Atma. Chaitanyam is complete Atma. Chaitanyam is not one part of Atma. Chaitanyam is not Atmanaha one mukham. Chaitanyam is complete Atma. Okay. But color is one aspect of the flower. It has got other aspects. But Chaitanyam is not like that. Chaitanyam is complete Atma. Okay. Therefore, Nirvishesha Chaitanyatva. Chaitanyam is Atma. Atma is Chaitanyam. Nitya Nirvishesha Chaitanya Swarupatvat. You can't call it a quality. It is the Swarupam of Atma. Next. Anatma. Now, Anatma, Nacha Anatmani Dravya Gunakarmadi Bhedena Dharma Dharmi Bhavam Vaisheshikadivat Abhyupayanti Vedantina Paramartataha. So, we have told Atma, Anatma. Both are dharmis. Atma has got certain dharmas. Anatma has got certain dharmas. Dharmas means properties. Now, they are mutually exchanged. That is Adhyasa. Exchanging means transferring Atma Dharma to Anatma and Anatma Dharma to Atma. This exchanging their mutual dharmas is Adhyasa, we told. Okay. Now, regarding this a little more deeply thinking, we have to say they are not the dharmas of Atma. What we have called Chaitanyadi as dharmas of Atma, they are not really dharmas of Atma. They are the Swarupam only. Okay? We talked about Atma. Coming to Anatma. Now, can we say Anatma dharmas are dharmas of Anatma? Anatma properties belong to Anatma. There also they cannot. Okay? This is the Vedantin's drishti. Nayayikas, Vaisheshikas talk of them. Vaisheshikas talk of dharma, guna. Not only about Anatma, even about Atma also they talk like that. See, Vaisheshikas do. Not only Vaisheshikas, even some of the other Dvaitins also talk of them. So it is a some serious mistake they commit there. They take Atma also as a dravya. Atma also has got qualities. So there, Atma having a quality, if you talk of Atma quality, then it goes wrong, as we discussed just now and we will discuss later. So, regarding Atma we told, whatever we described as the, like Chaitanyam and etc., as the properties of Atma, they are not actually properties. For sake of communication, for sake of Upadesha, we use them as properties. But actually, if you look inside deeply, they are the nature of Atma, they are not the properties. Okay, leave Atma. Coming to Anatma. Now we have described certain properties of Anatma, like, what are they? Jadatvam. Jadatvam means Achetanatvam is the nature of Anatma. Okay, Achetanatvam, Vikaritvam. Regarding Atma, Chaitanyam is the property of Atma, Kutastham is the property of Atma. Regarding Anatma, Achetanatvam is the property of Anatma, Vikaritvam is the property of Anatma. Vikaritvam, Achetanatvam, etc. are the properties of Anatma. Now question comes, are they properties of Anatma? Regarding Atma, we have understood clearly they are not properties, they are the very nature. Regarding Anatma, are they properties? Vaisheshikas say, I tell you, not only Vaisheshikas. In one word I can say, except Advaitins, everybody talks of Anatma, Guna Guni, Guna Guni, Guna Dravya, everybody talks except Advaitins. So in Advaitins, according to Advaitin means their understanding. It is not that the truth differs from person to person. Advaitin's truth, Dvaitin's truth, there is no truth like that. It is their understanding. They understand and they presented it like that. In their understanding, and that understanding you can verify for yourself. So in their understanding, gunas, so dravya guna sambandha, so anatma having the property also is not acceptable, because anatma gunas, like let us say right now, why, let us take it example and directly think of it. Acetanatvam. Acetanatvam is a property of anatma. Now can we say acetanam is a property of anatma? Do we experience it that way? When you say property, what is the standard testing? I have already told you, testing. The quality should belong to dravya, means what? Dravya can change the quality. If dravya is able to change the quality, then you can say quality. If a dravya cannot change it, you can't call it a quality. Okay? If a flower will be red color, a flower will be of another color also. A flower can be of red color, flower can be of yellow color, flower can be of orange color. If flower can be of different colors, then you say color is its quality. Okay. And another thing is, two factors I told you. Two factors to decide whether a color is a quality or not. A quality is a quality or not. A quality is a quality only if the dravya can have many qualities, or the quality can exist in another dravya. If that quality can exist in another, that means the color can exist not only in flower, color can exist in cloth also, in book also. There can be red book, there can be red cloth, there can be many other red things. There can be orange flower, there can be orange fruit also. Like this, if the color can exist in another dravya, then you say color is a quality. It can exist in many dravyas. That means two things I tell you. The one dravya can have many colors. One dravya can have many qualities, or the same quality can exist in many dravyas. Okay. The same quality can exist in many dravya. That means there can be, the flower can be of various colors. The flower can be of various colors, or one color can exist in many objects. Then you can call it as a color. But here, anatma means what? Anatma means achetana. Achetana, anatma, they are not qualities, because achetana is anatma, anatma is achetana. Because achetanyam, acetanatvam is not found anywhere else except is anatma. Anatma means achetana, achetana means anatma. What else you find? They are one. They are not two. Because anatma is achetana. Anatma is known in the consciousness. Anatma doesn't have chaitanya. And acetanatvam is anatma, because acetanatvam not found in atma. Acetanatvam is the quality of atma, anatma. Acetanam is the quality of anatma. That means what? Acetanam is anatma, anatma is acetanam. They are one. So we are using two words to refer one object. Two words used to refer one object. That means there is no guna-guni sambandha. Quality and substance. Dravya, guna-dravya sambandha doesn't exist. They are just one. Okay. Now the changing. Changing exists only, changing means vikaritvam. Anatma alone is vikari. Vikari is anatma. Anatma is vikari. Vikari, anatma are one. Because vikaritvam doesn't exist in atma. Vikaritvam belongs to anatma alone. Okay. Like this. Remaining qualities I leave it to you. You do manana. Okay. So anatma, so in guna-guni sambandha, guna-dravya sambandha, Advaitins don't accept. Accept means in Advaitins understanding, dharma-dharmi. Like Vaisheshikas say, dharma-dharmi or guna-dravya. This guna and dravya two separate, but they are related. Vaisheshikas talk of guna and dravya, they are related. But I tell you, guna and dravya cannot be seen as two. And then yet related. They are just one seen through different standpoints. Okay. This we will discuss more later. It will come again and again. Guna and dravya are two standpoints alone. They are not two things. Okay. What Vaisheshikas say is, they are two separate entities. Guna and Dravya, substance and quality, flower and the color of the flower. They say they are two things. Advaitins say they are not two things, two aspects of the one entity, two outlooks, two ways of looking of one entity. Okay. Paramatma nachapi anatma nama atmano atyanta bhinna eva. Iga next, the nature of anatma. What is anatma? I think time is up. We'll discuss tomorrow. So today we have discussed the guna-guni sambandha. It doesn't exist. Now what is anatma? Is there such a thing called anatma? Where does it exist? How does it exist? Where is anatma? Because we have to say atma anatmanor adhyasa. In atma anatmanor adhyasa, where is anatma? How is it? What is it? We have to discuss it. This, I think each one you analyze it. Swamiji's explanation is so excellent, so beautiful. You will be shocked to see. He just touches the facts alone. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat.